Hello, Minecrafters, and welcome to episode 47 of our Direwolf 20 Let's Play series. I believe this episode, we are going to go back into some tech. I did want to show you couple of things. First of all, in our production to run the Lamp of Growth, our farming station here used to have an octadic capacitor in it. I downgraded that one to the tier 2 and now I've taken it completely out, and we are still keeping up with the lumber requirements. This is actually still staying full and uses that size space, whereas it did use the entire fenced in area. But the Lamp of Growth is actually increasing the growth speed enough to where it's using a considerable less amount of room, and it's running off of the charcoal that we're producing here and the saplings that we're producing here, and the extras are getting voided off, and this goes right up to the Lamp of Growth. So, and there's no power on it. One other thing I did have to do is, because the increase in speed or the increased wood production, I had to add another 3 survivalist times 64 generators just to keep up. So, and we're still full on lumber. I might add another alloy furnace or alloy smelter. We'll have to see how it does for now. Let's see what else. Oh yeah. In our last episode, we had an invasion, and they've kind of spread a little bit. As you can see, we have roads over here, and they're pretty much all over the place now, which is actually kind of cool. The altar here, or the gateway, or whatever this is called, has actually changed. As you can see, it was all stone and all that, and now it's nether brick. For quite a while, they were building out this way and over there. And then, I'm not sure what happened, but then they started with all the nether brick roads, and it didn't really coincide with the change of this. This changed over to nether brick, and they still kept on building in cobble. Or not cobble, but stone. So I'm not sure what the significance is of the nether brick roads. And because you can see up here where they kind of blend together. So I'm not real sure, and wow, they've even added on some more over here. So yeah, they're moving on along. And from what I've read and from what I've heard people talking about, they can go up to 1,000 blocks out from that center point, or from that altar, or whatever you want to call it. So this can get pretty large. I have not been fighting them any, just because my understanding is they have a specific amount of energy they can expend. And if they feel threatened or if they're under attack, they will pull that energy back in from expansion and put it into summoning, so that they can get more foot soldiers, things like that. So I've not been attacking, just to, give them the chance to spread out and see what's going to happen with it. So that's where we're at on that. And so I think what I'm going to work on next is my AE system, except I'm not going to work on it here. I believe it was last episode that I alluded to the fact that I may be moving my AE out here. And so I've cleared out a little more area, and I've got this laid out, which will be where my buildings are going to track at. And I pushed this out further, moved the fence line, cut this back some more so I'd have the grass on the outside of the fence. And then I made a little small cleared out area here. And this is where my processing is going to be. About the only thing I've done in here so far is just cleared it out. I did the walls, floor, and ceiling like I usually do. And then up here, I did this. I've got a tesseract in the middle, and then the coprocessor, is that what it is? There goes my brain again. Let's see. Which way do I want to punch through right there? Controller. Okay. I've got those up there, and that's what we're going to pull off of. I don't know if we'll get that far today. Just ignore the explosions. And so I think we're going to go ahead and start right over in here. But this entire area will be for processing. Not necessarily just the applied energistics and all, but pretty much any of our stuff like that I'm going to try and keep over in this area. So that is pretty much what I'm geared up for. I forgot I had one with me. And since I don't know if I'm going to punch through and get that far today, I wanted to go ahead and just place this here. That way I've got, a way to test out what I'm putting down today. And let's see. One of the things I want to start off with are the ME interfaces and the molecular assemblers. I've seen these done a couple of different ways, but one of the things that I was looking at, and trying to make sure I'm going to have enough space here. When wrench. There we go. I've seen where people will put it well. I've seen where they'll do like that, or even more so, they'll use these and just place them right around the edge. Well, there's a problem with that. And I don't know if you've ever done it or run into the problem, but over here you've got room for 9 patterns. And this one you've got 9, 9, and 9. So that's what 9 and 9 is 18 times 2 is 36. You have 36 patterns that can craft in one area. So no matter how many processors, coprocessors, 4K, 64K, it doesn't matter. With something like this, for up to however many you have around this one thing, you can only do one thing at a time. Now, if you'll remember, on my design over here, I've pretty much got 4 of the molecular assemblers around each of the interfaces. Now that allows me to craft 4 things from this at one time. Or if I've got I don't know, if I've got a redstone transmission coil in here, my setup over there, I could actually make 4 at a time if I've got the coprocessors for it. But here, if you've got anything else running and you go to that one thing, it won't make it until everything else is done. So this is one way to do it. The way I had it over there is another way. But for efficiency, I find this to do real well. And what this does is that way you have 3 molecular assemblers attached to each of your interfaces. So this one's got these 3, this one's got these 3, and they'll share them. So if this one's making something and it's using this one, or that one, or that one, or 2 of the 3, or whatever, you can still make off of your others. And also, if you call out for 3 items in one interface, then it can make one here, one there, and one there. So that is the premise of the setup I was going to use for this. Like that. Now, there's something else that I really like about this, and that's the fact that, let's say you've got the pattern for glass cable in here. Now, anytime you call for it from your terminal, it's going to come over here. Okay, this is how we make it, and it's going to put it together, and it'll send it back to you. Well, there's another thing you can do up here under this area called config, and that is you can put this in here however many times you want. And I don't know if it'll go over 64 or not. We're going to find out. 64. Okay, it won't go over a full stack. But what you can do is do that. And if this was tied into a regular network, then it would keep 6 here at all times. And you can also put a crafting upgrade here so that anytime your system has less than 6, it would automatically call from the pattern to craft up to that number that you have. Now, there is one downside to this. Where did it go? All right, let's say I've got 7 there, and I've got my 7 here. Now, if I've got a terminal hooked up, I would not be able to see that 7. And so the way you get past that is with an ME storage bus. And so that is why I actually left as much room back here as I did, is because I'm going to put the storage buses back here. And then I want to take and tie those together with my cable. And I think I'm actually going to put the smart cable at the center. Like that. And what that does is that will tie these and these together back over here. Now here's the next thing. And there's a couple of ways we can do the next part. One, you can go with dense cable. But dense cable costs a little more than 4 times what a smart cable costs. Or right at 4 times, because it takes 4 cables to make a dense cable. Now the differences are, well, I don't want to tie them together yet. Okay, your ME glass cable can carry data, and it can carry up to 8 channels at a time. Your ME smart cable is pretty much the same, except it'll have lines here highlighted to show you how many channels you're using, but still only 8 channels. Your dense cable, however, can carry 32 channels. Now this will also have highlighted lines. It'll be kind of a real faint blue, 4 lines that are faint blue, and then once you get past 16 channels, then they'll come kind of a whitish blue. And we'll see that here in just a minute. Now one thing you could do, something you have to keep in mind here is this is 8 channels. And that is 8 channels. The molecular assemblers do not take channels because they don't carry any data. It's just it's a place where things are crafted. These, the interfaces, do take data. They can craft, they can store, so they do take a channel. As well, your storage buses here will also take a channel. So we can't just use smart cable to tie all this back over to there by itself. So what you can do is, and another thing you're going to need to use are cable anchors, because what'll happen is, let's see, if I go with a dense cable there, you can see where it just tied in, and this can actually mess up your channels. So if you put that cable anchor there, here, and here, to keep it from attaching where you don't want it to, you can run this over here and then tie it in right here, and it should link up. And now you can see how bright those are. If I take that off, now you can see there's 3 bright ones and then a spot where the faint one would have been. And if I take the rest of these off, now you've just got the 4 faint ones. So that means you're using 4 channels right now. And we'll put these back on. And now we're back to our 8 channels. And here you can see how this is listed. Like over here we're using 8 channels, but only 2 bars are lit. And that's because 1 bar is 4 channels. So since we're using 8, we've got 2 bars. So right here we've got 4 bars lit, so we're using 16, which is half the capacity of this. So that shows you, how these light up and the amount that they can carry. Now there is a way that you can save a little bit without having to run quite as much of this, because like I said, this does cost about 4 times the amount that your smart cable costs, and that is P2P. And the way that works is trying to figure out a good way to tell you. Okay, first of all, I need to let you know that on the ME controller here, you have 32 channels per side. So that's actually a lot of channels, because you got 32 here, 32, 32, 32, top and bottom as well. So a P2P is kind of like it's called a P2P tunnel, because that's pretty much what it is. It creates a tunnel from here to the other side. So we want to take this and put it on here. And then we want to put this one. Why did it switch? No, I don't want ME terminal. P2P terminal, or P2P tunnel. Okay. And we'll put a tunnel here, not facing that way. All right, so I'm going to have to run my cable first. But instead of running the dense cable, we're going to run our smart cable. And I am actually going to move this just to make this a little bit easier to explain. And then I'll put my P2P there. And then I'll run smart cable over this way. And hope that I can get this in here. Not where I want you. Yep, that'll work. You do sometimes have to get a little bit creative to get them to go where you want them to. All right, now I'll put my smart cable back in there. All right, Now they still have not lit up, and the reason for that is it needs power. Now this is getting power, but you have to power your P2P tunnel. And the way to do that is with a quartz fiber. Now quartz fiber will only transmit power. It will not transmit any data. So you can put that on here, and then you can put another smart cable. How do I keep getting on the wrong one here? You can put your smart cable there. So you can see that the data cannot pass through this, so only power is getting through. So now you have power to light this up, and you can see we're using 3 channels. Your P2P tunnel here, your P2P tunnel there, and the one there. But now, why isn't this lit up? Hold on just a minute. This should work. Hold on just a minute. I'll be right back. Okay. I'm forgetting simple things now. All right. So now we have all this set up. And like I said, we're using 3 channels. Our P2P tunnel here, our P2P tunnel here, and our P2P tunnel there. And this shows the 3 channels. Now, we still don't have this lit up. And the reason for that is we have to program it. Now, this isn't something that you have to, break out code and stuff like that. You've got a little memory card here. If you shift right click it in the air, it'll clear it. And so then you want to shift right click it on any of your P2P tunnels that you're going to be tying to. And you'll see it says successfully saved settings. So without shifting, then you just right click here and it loads the settings there. And right click here and it loads the settings there. Basically what that does is it tells this one that it's talking to this one and that one, and vice versa. It just tells all these that they're all on the same network. So now you can see for bright lights, that means we have 8 channels here lit up. And everything's lit and should be working. So now we are talking to all of our interfaces, and we are talking to all of our storage buses. So if I take, if I can get up there, and let's see, where'd my smart cable go? And I'm going to put a smart cable there. No, I'm not going to put it up there. I'll just come off the side right here. And I'm going to put my terminal here. That's interesting. Ah. So, as you can see, now if you want to test this out, you can do just like that and put one there and go here and do the same. Alrighty, got that one. So when we come over here and look at the terminal, it should have 4. And there we go. And I can take them and do this, and it will take them out over here. But if I come over here and put 4 in, it's going to put 1. Well, no, it didn't. It just went to the first one. That's interesting. I would have thought it would have spread it out. Could be because I don't have a drive, so it's just going to the first place. So, I mean, it's not the best way to test it out, but I use that when I've got a configuration issue on the channels. Then I can do that, and I can put 4 of one thing in there and 4 of something else in there, and see exactly which one isn't being read. So, next up, our crafting storage and our coprocessors. Now, crafting storage is used for the size of your recipe. When you go to craft something, if you've ever looked, I don't know if it'll show. No, I can't pull it up right now. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this together. No. Okay. Now I've got one of those with me. So I can put in a pattern here, and I can put the things in that are required to make it. So now if I come over here and tell it, okay, I want to make one of these, and tell it next. Right now it's saying I have no crafting CPUs available. Well, they're not lit. So that means we need to tie them into our network. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our P2P networks again. And I'm going to put one on there, one here, and one there. And let's see. I need my little cable anchor. Put my cable anchor there, and then I'll run my smart cable down here to there. No. And block that one and that one. And there. Now you'll notice these are lit, but I don't think they're working yet. They shouldn't. And I'll show you why in just a second. So now you can see we've goofed up all the channels, because I'm not even reading what I put in down there. Because this isn't supposed to be touching. That's why. Okay. All right, so now you can see we have a baseline of 4 plus 2. So we have 6 channels we're using. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now I should see my items back in here again. So if I go in here to craft this and tell it next, it's still going to tell me no CPUs are available. And here's the reason. You have to go back in. Now the card is already programmed for our P2P network. So we just need to click that one, and that one to program them and let them know they're all on the same network. So now when we come over here and we go to craft this, we have them, they are available. And you can actually flip through these. So if I click this, I've got CPU 0, storage of 4K and 2 processors, CPU 2 and CPU 3. And that is 0, 1, and 2, which is our 1, 2, 3. So now that will give you a little bit of information on channels, on P2P networks, and how to do some of the basic crafting stuff and what you need in order to do it. And like I said, each one, when you do craft this, I can't do that, I don't have that many. When you do craft it, when I click start, it's going to tell me, see, like right now it says 1 available and 2 available. Now it's already done it. Or did it? Did it make it? Yeah, okay. So there it is. And now we won't be able to because we're missing these. But whenever you start on a larger item, and let's see. Okay, let's look for something craftable. Trying to think of a good one to do. Calculation. Alright. This one is a little bit slow on my system because I've got something wrong. But anyways. So we're wanting to craft 30 calculation processors. Right now it has 30 of the pure Certus quartz crystals available. Then it has to craft the printed calculation circuit, and then it has to craft the calculation processor. So when I click start, and then I go up here to watch it, you'll see it says stored 28, 27, and this number will go down as these are being made. But note this stored, and this is stored, and these are being crafted. But it has to store this somewhere, and it has to store this somewhere. Well, that is what gets stored here. And that's what your 4K crafting storage is. Anything that is being used in the process of a craft, when it says stored, that's where it stores it. So for each one of these processing units, you have 4K storage in each one. So while you can probably do some pretty complicated items, you can't do but so many of them at one time because it won't have the storage to store all your items. And then your co-processing units allows you to process that many items at one time in that recipe. So whatever I'm crafting in this processor, I can store up to 4,000 storage worth of items, and I can craft 2 of the items in that recipe at a time. So hopefully that gives you a little better understanding of how this section works. And next episode we should be working on some auto crafting. I'm planning on putting the sag mill and alloy smelter in place, and we're going to start setting things up to automatically go through those as requested on recipes. I can't remember where I dropped that one now. There it is. Depending on the recipe, when something is supposed to go to the sag mill or the alloy smeltery, we're going to have that set up to go automatically. And we're also going to create buffers and things like that. So that should do it for this episode. I hope this was helpful. I know there's a lot of talk about applied energistics, about the difficulty of it, and people they don't understand it. So hopefully this has helped, and if it has, I hope you'll help me out by clicking like down at the bottom. You know the drill. If you got questions, comments, leave it down below. If you want to be notified when we post up, make sure to subscribe. But most of all, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned something, And just remember, I'm Jim Slate. Take care and God bless.